Let me talk for a moment now about how this recovery will be paid for. To the congressman's point, we are hearing that the Trump administration is about to send up a request to Capitol Hill for an initial $6 billion or thereabouts. Another Texas congressman with us now, Roger Williams. Sir, thank you for coming on. Good to see you as well. That, as Congressman Babin points out, will just be the start of things, right? And it's a long road from there. I'm sure this will be $100 billion plus.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of money. I don't think we have any idea what it's going to be, but the $6 billion is going to be a down payment, and we need to get it going, and it needs to be a clean bill. We don't need to have any attachments to it and make it political. So I'm anxious to get up there and approve that and begin the rebuilding process. Well,
you bring up a key point, and that is already being talked about and will be, I'm sure, next week more in Washington, D.C., whether, to your point, it should be a completely clean bill or maybe something like the debt ceiling, which we have to raise anyway, debts we've already incurred, that would be attached to this and would make both more likely to pass and pass quickly. You don't support that?
No, I don't support that. The problem is the debt ceiling has nothing to do with this down payment on this disaster. We need to separate them. We need to get the money in the hands of everybody so they can begin to rebuild, and then have the dialogue on the debt ceiling. And that's a separate thing, and it should not be included, and I hope it's not.
Now, what are you hearing from your colleagues in terms of how they're going to put this together? Are you confident it will be, as you put it, a clean bill?
Well, I've talked to a lot of my colleagues, and everybody seems to think that I've talked to that seems to think it'll be a clean bill, and it should be. I mean, the bottom line is we don't want to make it political. We don't want to make these evacuees and these people are in bad straits right now, make them a part of this. So I think at the end of the day, it will be clean. It should be clean, and then we can get on to the other business of getting a handle on our expenses in this country.
Yeah, in general, not just here. And that does bring up kind of a larger point. We're going to talk later on in the show, Congressman, about the president's agenda. Things like tax reform, and we're going to speak about how he may or may not get this done. Just about everybody agrees, and not just about, everybody agrees that the money for Texas is necessary. It's not something we need to argue about. It needs to be spent, whatever it takes. Does it slow down, though, the rest of the president's agenda, do you think?
Well, I mean, look, we need to be tax reform. I've been talking about that since I've been in Congress. We need to address that. We have a real problem with our debt. We've got to fix it. It's a serious issue. So if you were in business, this would be an extraordinary part of doing business,
right?
Extraordinary expense, and we're going to have to pay for it, and then we're going to have to get our expenses in line and maybe do some cutting in areas that nobody wants to talk about.
Right. Does it make it more likely, though, that those cuts maybe you're right, maybe we should have been talking about them already, that we'll talk about them more now because of the money spent in Texas?
Exactly. I think we're going to have to do that, and I hope that dialogue occurs.
Congressman, thanks tonight. And again, as I said to Congressman Babin, we'll keep checking back with you as well as these weeks continue. Thanks for coming on.
Please do. Thank you.